This is not looking good. Okay, guys. So welcome. We welcome every single person here. We welcome every single person, and you all are all welcome. And thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. More people are still joining. More people are still joining. Give something. I'm back. All right, guys. Oh, okay. People are still joining. All right. In that sense of that, let's just kick start up. You're starting already. Okay, guys. At first, I welcome every single person here, both returning and new viewers. I got you all. All right, guys. Okay, I welcome every single person. Let me just be welcoming you now. That's what I'm to do. All right. I welcome every single person. If you're joining, keep joining. If you've joined already, I'll grab your seat tight. If you're seated already, grab your seat tight. Because minutes, in few minutes, we're gonna be kickstarting up something. All right, guys. So in the absence of that, let's just start up something at first. Okay, maybe I feel I just need to quickly introduce myself. I'm UFGRAPHICS and okay, and part of what we're going to do today is just a kind of our normal and our usual what's it called tutorial section, and trying to teach our students the things that pertains to their life, the things that nobody is going to teach them while in school, the things that they are not expected. School is not expected to teach them. Moreover, it's not school fault because that is not what it's meant for. And school has its own well, I say goal, which is to issue a certificate maybe at a particular time or season when the student finishes. So uh everything we're going to be saying here pertains to the other side. And so in other words, we can call it life after school. Do you get that? So it's more like a kind of that, and is really going to be benefiting our students, both our young adults, both our a kind of grown-up adults. Like, it's really going to benefit them in a way that is going to expose things, it's going to review things that naturally they have not a kind of considered, or did not even think or assume that such exists. So it's going to kind of or open their eyes and help them see it. It's more like life after school, and this section, or let's just say this part of course, is very, very necessary, and plenty of them don't know about it, and they are not, or nobody is even talking about that. Just the most this thing, that's just the most expensive part of the stuff. Like, nobody is talking about it, and if we should still keep calm, if we should or keep quiet and all of that, it's causing more harm than good in the lives of our young adults, in the lives of our young youth. So that is not what we want, and that's the essence of all this section that we're making here. All right, guys. So on that note, or I don't know, we have been making other ones already, but we have a special topic that we're gonna be treating yesterday. So if you're seated already, grab your chair very tight, because in short while we're gonna be starting. All right, guys. So let me clean my face usually. All right. So your back is starting. Let me introduce myself again. If you're just joining, you're highly welcome, and your or watching is not, or is not taken for granted. UF really regards that. All right. So we're about kickstarting, and okay. At first, let me introduce myself one more again. This is UF Graphics, and if you're seeing me for the first time, I'm seeing for the first time as well. I really regard the fact that you're watching, and maybe you just give us the thumbs up, or just try or penning down anything. Just try, or maybe pinning down your name, or like where you're watching from, or let's just say anything about you. You can just I don't know, like you can just have it there, and maybe you can ask your fellow questions, like questions during the lesson and all of that. So let's just kick start. At first, I may have to a kind of what's it called again, I may have to run around, or let me just say a kind of highlights or even summary of last section That was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Yesterday's live film section. It was mind blowing. Like, we really said a lot, and a lot was said on the section, and it really makes sense. Like, it's gonna like, I don't just know, but it was really making sense. So if you're here and maybe you were not opportune to join us yesterday, what are you doing today? Like, after this session, just a kind of check back and check on it. It was really mind blowing. And without wasting your time, I'm going to a kind of introduce, or let me just say, uh highlight what we said yesterday, then before we get into what we have today. So what part of what we said yesterday was, okay, at first let's check yesterday's topic. Remind you, it's just for people that were not able to join. So if you're here and you were not able to join, this is a very critical opportunity. Like, it's very very necessary that you know this. So let me just quickly say that, mind you, yesterday's section, let me just okay, yesterday's section topic was how students can start and manage small business. Okay, I get it now. It skipped my memory. I have to go back to my book. Okay, yesterday's session was how can students start and manage small business while they are still in school, not when they are out. So like, while they are still in school, when they are still studying. Do you get? I assume you know what I mean by that. Like, small business, they're going to be doing something that gets them gain. They're going to be doing something that they're going to be getting profit in, but still while they're in school, not when they're out. And we gave a lot of illustration in a way that a student can actually cope up with it. Like, it's not as if is going to obstruct such student study. It's not as if it's going to hinder the person from a kind of going for lectures and all of that. So this is a kind of a well prescribed way that if you adapt as a new okay, let me just follow this step. If you adapt it as a youth, if you adapt it as a young adult, if you adapt it as an undergraduate student, it's really going to help you in your building life. Because our era now, or let's just say what we observe and what the world is going into, you're not expected as a student to depend totally, or let's just say wholeheartedly, on your certificate, because it's causing more harm than good doing it, or let's just say having all your focus on it without having any other skill. Get my point? Without having any other back support system that can equally yield money for you as a student. When you're out from the world, like when you're out from school and things get tough, I don't know, but if things get tough, it's not gonna be funny. And when you don't have any other skill, when you don't have any money generating engine, or let's just say when you don't have any other thing that can get you income, if you're in that such situation, you're going to really get stuck, and that is just what we don't want. And that's the essence of making all these section and streams, so that our young students should, or we start seeing it from our view and start making and start acting upon all the stuff that we're giving them, because it's going to really help them in their growth and when it has to do with them succeeding in life. So that's for that. And let me just, okay, as I said earlier, I just want to run around yesterday's session before we get into what we have today. So that yesterday's session, we said how students can start up and manage small business even while they're still in school. I think I said something like that there. I said they can equally do that maybe by picking or some flexible business. Now, there is something about a business and there is something about aligning students' mindset when it has to do with business. Now, firstly, is if you're talking about business, firstly, you need to know the skills that you have. Now, there is what they call or self skill. Now, that self skill is more like, what can you do if you're okay, if you're a student now and we're talking about starting up a business. You need to get, it's just like four pillars, or let's just say four filters you need to know first before even stepping further. And what's that? You need to know the skills that you have. That's one. Now you need to know what problem exists around you. Now, problem we mean there is not fighting, it's just more like what people want, like what is missing, what is rare, like what is a kind of scarce around your area. Now that's two. And again, you need to know what works, like the necessary ways, or let's just say strategies that you're going to involve in in the stuff to get it done, or let's just say the possible ways, or let's just say the amount is now the third pillar, or let's just say the third filter is more like you knowing what you're going to invest. Do you get that? So that's more like that. And hmm, who is my somebody, let me reply my oh I don't know, I've answered nonsense. Oh my god. All right, that's for that. Let's just proceed, guys. So all I was saying in essence is okay. Come back. Okay, it's back. What I was saying in essence is, if we're talking about business, I mentioned three already. Okay, the first one I think is knowing, or maybe a location, stuff like that. So without you actually knowing all of these, is going to help, or is going to actually lead you in the wrong path. But if you actually know all these things I mentioned, and you're gonna consider it first, then once it's considered, now it's going to be put in under consideration, and like things is really going to work out that way. Now imagine you're starting up a business. Now okay, now let me still break, sorry guys, let me still break what I mean down. Now I'm trying to a kind of break down what I mean by okay, what I mean by you, like what I mean by that first what did I say first? Okay, what I mean by solving a problem. Okay, what I mean by you knowing your skill. Now you knowing your skill is, it's more like what can you do. It's just like someone that can make a hair and make hairdressing and all of that. Now, if you're talking about starting up a business, you're going to know your skill. Now, if you're such student, if you're such adult, and you can equally do that, now that's a first stop. That's more like or figuring out, or let's just say that helps you to, or in getting the right, what's it called, the right or area, or let's just say the right track to enter when it has to do with, or when it has to do with business, and when it has to do with doing business as a youth or an undergraduate student. So that is more like that, and doing that is going to align you to your path. Now, if it's not that, maybe, or okay, the second aspect I said is you're gonna find the problem that you can solve. Now, I just said something like you're going to know your abilities. It's more like in it, what you can do, your necessary abilities, your abilities and capacities, what you can actually do. Now, knowing all these things can help you in choosing a particular business idea. All right, that's number one. Secondly is knowing the problem that exists around your area. Now, haven't known your abilities. Now, problem I mean is more like, as I said earlier, it's more like things that people want, things that people are not really selling, things that people are really or desperate, or in a high rate to purchase or buy. Things that I don't just know, just things around your area that need high demand, or let's just say that have high demands. So these are more like you filtering out or problems that people need. Now, if it's in a campus, maybe we'll talk, or we'll say it's more like maybe places that people needs to type, people needs to do their assignments, and people needs to print some or documents. Now, this a university, or let's just say a tertiary institution. Now, that's for that. Maybe if was this talk about tertiary institution, more problems, or let's just say the common errors, or let's just say the common problems that students are often looking for. Maybe places they can buy cheap food, buy snacks, and maybe buy some stuff, food stuff, and all of it. So these are equally problem. Now, if you were to discover this as a young adult, as an undergraduate student, it's going to still help you get into a particular business. I'm not here to tell you one. So if figure this out in your area, on your side, it's gonna help you. Like, the answer of your question is just going to appear, being the actual business should like to invent in, or the actual business you ought to start up with. So that's for that, guys. So I think a lot of that. So if it's interesting you already, maybe you just, after this session, maybe you just check on yesterday's session, so it will not obstruct in today's session on. So let me welcome you guys back. I welcome my awesome viewers. It's not shaking for granted. So the fact that you're watching, is really regarded and UF regards that. So let's get into what we really have today. And guess what, guys? We have something today. Okay, I'm now talking about today's session. So you're back like today. So I'm done. I'm not saying any other thing or yesterday. So if it interests you, maybe after now, you just try and check. Okay. So if we're talking about today's section, what we have today, we have the law of small daily improvements. Now I'm going to be saying a lot here, and maybe you're here and you have your pen, you can equally jot things and maybe you can still comprehend. I give you a thumbs up. All right, so without wasting much of our time, we are about kickstarting the main deal. All right, at first, the subheading, or let's just say the body, what we have today, what we really have today is just the law of small daily improvements. Now I'm going to be breaking it down. The law of small daily improvement. So at first, one may ask, what is okay? Let's come serially now. At first, one may ask, what is law? Law is more like, okay, I'm going to be at first. Let me just give a detail of what I'm gonna be doing, so that you won't get stuck or you won't feel that I've a kind of shifted from what I was saying or what I'm trying to communicate. Sorry guys. All right, so at first you're going to get the main law is okay. Remind you, we're talking about the law of small daily beginning, the law of small daily improvement. That's the subtopic. If you check our thumbnail, I think that is what is bearing there. So the law of small daily improvement. Now under that, you're going to be knowing law and how it relates to students, number two, and how, or let's just say the ways it's like it connects to improvement and how it can possibly affect one life in a positive way. So that is all we're gonna be checking and looking after, or let's just say towards today. So at first I said, okay, we're gonna know the first is to know what law really means. So this is more like a climbing still to the actual thing that we're gonna need to be discussing. So law is more like a kind of a, I don't just know, let me still say it's a law, but law is just more like a mandate. I don't know, something, a serious command, or let's just say a rigid something that guides a particular thing. It can just be seen as a law, or let's just say a pattern of which something is meant to be done, or a pattern or a way something is usually being done by or through. So I just tried defining it from my I don't do whether I'm okay. Let me not say whether I'm correct. I'm actually correct, but maybe it's from my own view perspective. So that can be seen as law. Now when it has to do with small is just more like routine something, daily something. Actually, the word small should is actually small. There's no rema, or let's just say there's no big definition there. Law of small is just more like small. Now daily improvement, daily is more like regular something, routine something, like that's daily now. So if we're to okay, improvement is more like when growth is being attached or involved in the matter. Improvement is more like growth when something is actually growing, not diminishing, not or a kind of rascalating, like it's actually growing, and that can be referred to improvement. So that is what we're talking about here, the law of daily improvement. So you're to combine it, or let's just say what to bring it together so as to make sense to you and for you to actually get what we're planning, or let's just say what we're really talking about. Okay, at first, okay, and we said this law of daily, okay, at first, remind you, everything we're saying here, all the topics that we're switching or emphasizing on is in alignment in helping our young adults, young youth, young students out there to get a kind of a knowledge about some things that has to do with life, and that has to do with as well them succeeding in life as well, because it has more than 80% to play when it has to do with them being out, or let's just say be them facing the world, or let's just say them really being independent and all of that. So all this is going to a kind of, it's just more like a support system to them and them knowing it now is just it's just more like the right thing that can ever happen or that have ever happened to them, because it's going to help shape their paths early. It helps align and helps open their eyes and helps them see things in a different perspective and start doing things in a different way. So these are just more like the benefit of them getting these informations now. So if okay, let's just proceed, maybe that will come later. And under this note, I'm seeing the law of small daily beginning. Okay, let me just say a few things before we get into the main deal. Mind you, some students are feel okay, some students feels that okay, some students normally, or let's say usually, neglect or daily routine, or let's just say daily activities. Reason, or let's just say why, is more like they are underestimating it. Let me just put it that way. They are underestimating it. Why? Because they feel that it's too like it's too little. Now you hear someone tells you that if if I cannot read for 5 hours, it's best, or let's just say it's better that I don't read at all. Do you get that? He or she feels that if I cannot do this, or let's say if I cannot get this particular thing done within, or let's just say like with this measure, it's best or better I don't do it at all. Now he or she is trying to say, if I don't get success, or let's just say if I don't get this thing better this way, like trying, or let's just say or attempting to do it, or even doing it small small to actually get there, is not gonna be making sense. So that is just more like students underestimating or daily improvements, or let's just say. And another thing that I'm to show here is just more like daily improvement is just more like slowly, gradually determine your future, or let's just say daily routine. That is number one. Daily routine is just more like your daily activities, what you're doing daily, or let's just say the activities. And mind you, seconds make minute, minutes make hour, hours make days makes week, months years, decade and century. Do you get that? So it's more like your daily activities, that's the kind of accumulated minutes, seconds and all of that. Now that is more like something that is actually determining your your ending. Do you get that? So you're not to, while it's a way, you're not to use it in doing things that can't or give value or pay in return. Do you get that? So it doesn't want to do it. So it's more like that. And let's just get into what we have today mainly. And at first we said why students struggle with the law. Now what is this? Like I said, this law is just more like when you're doing something gradually, when you're doing something slowly, when you're doing something regularly but slowly. Remind you, the result is gonna be coming small. Why? Cause is slowly, is daily. And that is why I said some students are underestimating it, because they don't have patience. They will be like, if I don't get it now, it's better I don't even start gradual, like stuff like that. So it's more like a gradual. Now when it has to do with law, it's more like a gradual process. And it said that you can't beat process. So you're not gonna, I don't know, push it or anything, or you're not even going to outrun it. So it's more like something that takes time but is sure. To get that. So okay, we're asking why students struggle with the law. Now they struggle with the law because they feel that it's slow, they feel that it doesn't worth it, or let's just say they feel that is the kind of delaying. Remind you, because maybe because it's slow, because no one is sharing them up, because okay, just like when you are actually doing a particular, when you're exhibiting a particular, or when you're working on a particular thing, maybe skill or whatever. Now actually you're trying to equip yourself, you're trying to grow on that particular thing. During the process, sometimes it gets tough, sometimes everything feels flat and stuck. Sometimes no one is sharing you up, no one is or clapping and applauding, all of that. So it's more like a state of and all of that. If such student persists, try more and like improve more, now people are going to the because you existed and it was like is what actually yield that result. So that is what that many people are not pleasure a student something on real life students can relate. That exists is called and it's what I'm really trying to communicate better. Okay, what's the illustration at first? If we're talking about real life examples when it has to do with improvement, now maybe let's say in a class, or let's just say in a particular school, I'm just going to use two because I'm referring to students and young adults. I'm going to use school for my illustration. Sorry guys, where we have two students and one is giving out, so let's just say yielding 2 hours daily reading. Moreover, we have some, okay, let's just say one is voluntarily like giving out 2 hours of his or her time reading every day after lectures. Now the other student A is, okay, let me make it in a let it look more practical. Or student A is volunteering 2 hours daily reading maybe after lectures and all that. Now student B feels that he or she is smart and he or she reads, like let's just say 10 hours a day to the exam. Might just get my illustration. Student A reads 2 hours daily. Alright, so student B feel that he or she is smart and he or she is reading 10 hours to to exam. Now if we were to ask who is really going to perform more, obviously is student A. Student to or perform more than student B. Now what's the reason? Well, let's just say what really caused that, like person that to perform more better. Now why? Because such person been stuck, like she has been, and it's more like daily something, and it is said that improvement daily or routine all of that, like is really going to help one in actually getting into that particular tip. So you're not just or overlook or the power of daily routine, or just say the power of daily activity, because it's as so like it has a lot that is doing and really helping matters when it has to do with improvement or growth. You get that right? So that's for that. And under it we have academic examples. Now I think I say something like that. Academic example, what I mean there is just like when student A and student B is actually, student A is reading daily, student B is reading plenty hours just close to the exam time. Obviously student A is going to outperform more than student B because he or she has mastered the stuff by all those hours that he or she is giving. Do you get that? That's for that. When it has to do with okay, public speaking, let's assume that student A and student B, student A is more like a shy person that can't talk in public and all of that. Now student B can equally talk and feel that he or she is confident and fluent and all of that. Now, student A is practicing, maybe speaking once in a class, or let's just say speaking to a mirror and all of that. Now, when student A plays for 60 days, that's 2 months, he or she is going to be stable. He or she is going to speak fluently and are more confident than the other person that feels that he or she can outperform. So that is just it. Now, skill example. Now, remind you, what I'm just saying here is just more like examples attached to real life examples that students can relate to it when it has to do with matter of or daily improvement. So I'm still under that, and I think what I'm currently on is skill example. Now, if skill example, if also involve skill example, it's just like some two students that is actually learning a particular skill, and one is actually watching that stuff, or let's just say that skill on YouTube daily without practicalizing, without doing anything about it. Moreover, the other one just started doing a very or doing a design daily. I'm just using design as example. Now, the other person, student A, is doing daily design. Student B is only watching without practicalizing. Now it gets to a point where student A can now do design more confident than all of that, and even outperform more than student B. So you cannot just overlook or the law of small daily or improvement, because it's more like growth or oriented. So it's more like something where, or let's just say it's not wrong if we say is where the real growth happen, because it's more like daily something, and during the process one is more like going to be good on it. So we have compound effort. Now, compound effort is more like accumulated, what's it called, accumulated I don't know. Okay, let's use for example just more like when someone has a part, maybe when someone has money, or let's just say when you have 50,000, let's say when you have 500,000, let me use 500 there, let me not be or two this. Now when you have 500 there and you save it for a particular duration, maybe 30 days, that's 15k if I'm not mistaken. Now if you should save it as well to 1 year, I think that's 180k, something like that. Now if you're doing it daily 500, it looks like nothing. It looks like or a kind of light money and all of that. But when it's accumulating, when it's accumulated up to 30 days, it's now worth something. It can actually solve a particular problem. Do you get that? So that is more like a practical example of daily or daily improvement, or let's just say daily it's just more like daily improvement. So when you're actually doing that daily consistently, it starts big, everything big started small. So just overlook the law of starting small, let's just say the law of daily small beginning, improvement, stuff like that. So another one is okay, just like the mindset shift. Now, mindset shift is more like shifting your mindset, and it's more like you understanding what we really mean by daily improvement. Now, it's more like letting students know daily improvement is a kind of daily activity. Now, daily activity I mean in this sense is just like what you do daily. It's not what you're going to be doing occasionally. And he said that daily activity beats occasional activity. Now it's more like routine, and you're going to get into it and be, you and I know that anything you're doing more frequently, it can actually be an act like it can actually be a habit. Habit is more like something that you cannot do without, with that it's now becoming part of actually what or daily routine, or let's just say or small daily improvements. Okay, that's okay, small daily improvements can actually do for or in a youth life, or let's just say in an adult life. So that's for that. And so we have more like practical stuff for students. Now, these are more like practical stuff for students. And on the practical step, we have choose one area to improve on. Now, remind you, we're talking about daily improvement, small daily improvement at that. You can choose to develop your fitness, you can choose to develop academically, you can choose to develop or your speaking, like any of your area, like any area that you see or you feel that you're really lacking or slacking, you can just choose to develop it. Now, remind you, the process, everything is gonna be small and slow, most at times stuck and frustrated, but you ought to keep going, you ought to not to quit, you ought to just keep striving and all of that. So even when nobody's applauding, you're there, like everything, you're still there, you're gonna be pushing. So that's just what is all about. Now make it small. Mind you, even if it seems to or be too easy and light, that key stick on it is say that easy and like easy habits last long. Okay, it's just more like when you're actually bringing out 500 from maybe your salary, it's not going to look like much, it's not stressing you. That is the smallness that we're talking about in this sense. Now on that state is actually small, but when you save it for a long period of time, it's going to make sense and is actually going to or maybe solve a particular problem for you. So that's just what we're talking about here when we mean by make it small. Now you're not going to actually try improving what is going to stress you. You're not going to start just like someone that is learning skill, you're going to be invest all your time. No, it's going to stress you. So it's more like daily, more like routine, and it's more like activity. So it's more like something that you're going to be doing daily. That's number one. Dailiness is included, but you're gonna make it small. So as for it to last long, so that it's not going to stress you out during the process. So that's for that. And do it daily. As I said, dailiness is included, is attached. So anything you're going to be doing when it has to do with daily improvement, so dailiness is there like regularly. That is just what it's trying to say. And track record. Now, tracking record, I mean, it can be monthly, it can be yearly, it can be weekly, it can be daily as well. So tracking record is just more like you evaluating your performance, you evaluating what you're actually doing, how far, how improve, like the actual growth that you're gaining. Are you growing? Are you really growing? Are you really coming down, like what it's actually happening during the process. So tracking as well can help you in developing in some areas that you're not getting right, in developing in some areas that you're really slacking, in developing in some areas that needs to be developed. So that is what tracking does, and it's actually help in growth as well. So when it has to do with, so okay, now it's more like a question, why most students quit. Now, as I said, growth and daily, and when it has to do with small, and if it has to do with improvement, it's more like something that is time consuming, takes time, and slow as well. And most times, I said, it can be frustrated, like it can be frustrating, it can really frustrate, and it can make you to see stuff like that, but you ought to keep going. So if we're talking about why students, or okay, why students quit, is more like they are not eager to persist, they are not eager to strive more, they don't feel reluctant, they feel they are easily giving up and all of that. So these are more reasons why students can easily quit all. So we have some notables here. I don't know, we have some notables, something that we noted down, and it really helps, and maybe it's going to help you actually get what we're trying to say, maybe in detail. Alright, guys. So it's more like notables. Now, under one of the notables we have here is small effort done daily beats efforts done occasionally. I think I pointed out something that looks like that there. Small efforts done daily. Okay, small efforts done daily can beat big efforts done occasionally. Let me repeat. Small effort done daily can beat a big occasion done occasionally. What am I even saying? Only let me still repeat. Small effort done daily beats big effort done occasionally. Let me now explain. Now what I mean there is just more like, okay, let's recall or to the illustration I gave, the picture of a student A reading daily. After lectures, he or she is going to bend down and read, and student B reading almost 24 hours, just 2 days or a day before the exam. Now we ask the question, who is going to perform more than each other? Obviously is student A. Reason is because he or she is doing it daily. and he said that daily helps in building and actually result oriented. So he or she is not going to be stuck or confused or even forget some things because he or she has been on it, has been like he or she has built on it. So that is what more like or daily does to or students or gets one into. So that's more like that. And again, we have another notable: your future is hiding inside your daily routine. Now I don't know, it sounds somehow. Now you will be like, how, or I say, how is my future hiding inside my daily routine? And okay, now let me explain what we were trying to say there. Maybe we'll just say, since daily activity, since hourly second activity, all of this thing is more like what secretly, silently and slowly determine your future. So that is what you're trying to say, your future is hiding inside your daily routine. Now we said what you're doing daily determines, we said firstly daily activity or accumulate to hours, months, sorry, hours, days, weeks and weeks, months, stuff like that. So it's more like your daily or your future is hiding inside your daily routine. So anything you're going to be doing within daily activities is actually accumulating. It's positioning you. It's creating and shaping your path towards what you're becoming, what you're aiming to be. So it's more like that. So just get it from that view. You're going to It's going to just be okay. Alright guys, so the gap between average and excellent is daily discipline. Okay, now this is more like a truth and factual statement. The gap between an average student and an excellent student is daily discipline. Now let me repeat, the what's it called, the gap between an average student and an excellent student is just more like daily discipline. Now you just imagine when you be like, okay, let's say one of us, maybe you are performing more than the other person. Now the difference is very, and let me just try explaining that. One is that one may be a kind of or discipline oriented, like one may be disciplined his or her. That is why I gave that illustration. And even if we were to bring back that illustration here, it's more like he or she is involving, or let's say giving out 2 hours, or let's not even say 1 hour daily reading daily. Now the other person is waiting till exam. Now that's yielding hours, that yielding hours and effort time is more like sacrifice and is more like an investment. Now it as well can be referred as a discipline. Do you get that? So that is what that student is actually giving, and that student is more like an excellent student because he or she is going to perform more than the other one. So have you seen how, or let's just say, the gap between an average student and an average student is more like discipline. Now it is said, or in other words, you can just say if a student is well disciplined when it has to do with academically, when it has to do with he or she learning a particular thing, discipline is just the word, or let's just say is it instinct, or let's just say like it's just what or defines, or let's just say uh is just the main thing there that actually separates a dull student from adopt and adapt to discipline. He or she is going to still perform better. That is just it. So we have as well another notable here, which is your okay, you don't need a new life, you need new habits. Now you don't need a new life, you need new habits. What am I trying to say there? New life is more like recreating you, and that is not what we need, or that is not what most of us need. Now when you hear one be one will be like, I'm tired and all of that. So we were trying to say here, even if you're a student, young adult, upcoming adult, a teenager, you don't need a new life, you need a new habit. Now new habit I mean in this sense is you're actually going to start adapting to things that work. You're actually going to check and evaluate your current or your current, I don't know, your routines and everything that you're doing currently, and see the path that is shaping you to. Now if it's okay by you, that's cool. Moreover, if it's not okay, you can actually adjust. So it's more like okay, you don't need a new life, you need a new habit. It's more like you choosing the right habit that helps shape your path. So if we tell you that your habit is more like, habit is just more of something like, is more like inbuilt, something that has been in you, something that, so you have done too far, or let's say you have done too much, that is now part of you, and most times can do it in a kind of freely, or let us say you can do it with less stress. So that's more like habit. So when you actually discipline yourself and when it becomes an habit, so it's really going to help you as a student. So I think, okay, we still have another notable here where we say the law of small daily improvement says, what did this law say? Some people are eager to know what this law say. Now we have been saying a lot about small daily improvement. So I this is just more like the law, what it really says. So the law says, if you, okay, if you are just a little better today, get my point. The law says if you're just a little better today than yesterday, you are really working. Like, if you're just a little better today than yesterday, you are really winning. That just the what the law says. I'm not the one that says it. It's just the law that says it. The law of small daily improvement says, if you're just 1% better today than yesterday, you are winning already. What does that means? Or let me still elaborate what it really means, or what it's trying to communicate. Now it's just like when you improve 1% today, next tomorrow you're improving 2%, next other tomorrow you're improving 3%. That is why it says, if you're just a little better. Now I'm bringing it in a more practical way so that you get it, by saying 1%, you increasing by percentage. So they said a little better. So a little better can be anything, but it's gonna be better than your previous days. So that is just what it's trying to insulate. So if you're a little better than yesterday, that is showing that you're winning already, because that is actually an improvement, that is actually a growth, that is actually you, or growing together. So it's more like an increase. So even when it's a bit, it actually makes sense. It means that you're growing, it means that you're not going back, it means that increments, like improvements, there is improvements already, because the goal there is to improve. And when you're actually improving daily, is the measure which you're improving with, it doesn't matter in the sense. So what really matters that is that you're improving, you're growing. So that's for that, guys. Okay, guys, okay, I think that's, I don't know, I don't know. Okay, I think I still have something, but I don't just know, maybe we'll shoot you next or that time. So if you've watched so far, I don't know, okay, maybe for the sake of people that joined, when I'm done introducing myself, okay, this is UF Graphics, and if this is your first time of seeing us, okay, maybe you just try subscribing to our channel, and maybe just try following us on other social media handles: Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, UF Graphics. And our goal is simple: we make possible videos that help young adults, young youth, get to see what life after school looks like, and the possible ways they can actually start aligning in regards to that, and make proper arrangements, or let's just say more like structures, in helping them in their lifetime. But let's just put it that way, it's more like something, or let's just say a plans that is going to sustain them even while they are out, even when they are out from university, even when things is stuck, or let's say when plan A didn't work as planned, they are not going to be frustrated. Even when they encounter failure and frustration, they are going to sit in a different view or perspective, and handle it with some necessary skills that you have been and still teaching them here already, because it takes skills to handle pressure and failure, all of this. So if a student is not mentally and emotional strong ready, he or she is going to actually fail graphically, like when failure hits. And if if he or she fails, most times, or let's say more of it's actually, I don't know, it's not always ending well on that part. So this is what we're avoiding, and we're actually trying possible ways to get this knowledge pass to our youth and young adults so as to help and prevent some or some crisis from happening. Even our graduates, most of them that are out already, most of them were not able and privileged to get all this information. Now there are still possible ways that we have stated that in some of our sections that can still help them adapt, still help them fix their errors, and does that. And we're actually doing that already. So if you're watched to this, just give us a thumbs up, or you can tell us your name, you can tell us your location, country, you can maybe tell us or your daily improvements, what you have are actually doing, what's the plans, or let's just say the improvement that you're doing, or let's say you're trying to or start up stuff like that. What I guys. So that's for that. And maybe you just check us tomorrow as well from 12:1 to, all right, you're still going to see us and we're going to teach you more. All right guys, so at this moment, at this point in time, you're going offline, and I really appreciate the fact that you watch and you not take it for granted, and I really appreciate that fact. And I believe, oh, you've gotten something. So maybe you just try referring us to people that you feel that needs this, by sharing our links to them, maybe by inviting them to our channel, or by telling them our handle names. Maybe they can just get to follow us on any social media handle. And I'm giving you a thumbs up for that. Alright guys, so you at the pointing moment you're getting offline, and we'll